It's Corso and Catone. Brought to you by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Now for the real deal New England feel, Corso and Catone.
Welcome into Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. I'm Corso, Catone's here. Joe's with us in the booth. You're joining us on YouTube, listening on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, and 790 The Score in Providence, Rhode Island. And listen, give us a call and heated hotline, 855-313-PATS. Got an interesting one today. Or you can email us in our mailbag, corso.catone@gmail.com. Next week, we're going to get to those, Mark. Going to read a couple
we got a bunch in our mailbag. We got to get to those. We absolutely do.
So we're going to do that next week. But this week, got a good one. In Weekly Rewind, we're going to go over that New York Giants debacle. And, of course, heated hotline. Definitely stick around for that one. You're going to like it. And, of course, Catone's comments. You never want to miss that.
Do you know what the best part of that game was Sunday? I don't mean to interrupt you. Do you know what the best part of that game was Sunday?
Yeah, when it hit zeros at the end of the game.
No. When the kid for the Giants, Tommy DeVito, came out of the tunnel, they played the theme to The Sopranos. That was the best part of the whole game, Chris. It hadn't even started yet.
It was, well, we're going to get to a lot of that. And we're also going to bring in the Pats Nation and talk about that LA Chargers game and a little bit of that Pittsburgh game that's coming up next Thursday. And, of course, win you some money in Sunday spread. I think we did okay last week. Didn't we, Mark?
No, I didn't. I had a bad week. I had an off week last week. I had a win, a push. A loss, a push. I didn't do good last week, but we'll go over it.
All right. Well, the first thing we need to go over is we got to go over that game against the Giants. We're going to do it a Weekly Rewind right now. Going back through the week. About a Weekly Rewind. So the Patriots travel to the Meadowlands, drop another one to go 2-9, and they lose 10-7. Another barn burner, Mark. You know, I didn't even say. I asked you guys how was your Thanksgiving? Because when we recorded, it was previous.
It was it pre? Yeah, it was pre. You're right. It was pre-Thanksgiving. Yes, it was.
That's what I thought you were going to say, Mark. What the best part about Sunday was you had leftover turkey sandwiches.
Well,
yeah. That's it. I threw my drumstick at the damn TV on Sunday, leftover. But no, good. Everybody,
Yeah, had a good nice. It was good. It was peaceful, quiet. Yeah.
Did you eat enough?
Oh
yeah,
man,
I ate, drank.
You can see I'm eating pretty good. You look at those. You look at those promos. You look at those washes from Weekly Rewind. Looks like I got stung by a bee.
That's I was just gonna say I'm glad that the camera's not on me tonight.
Well, the camera
fill out the frame.
Camera does add a few.
Of course it does. That's of course they say it adds 10 pounds.
Yes, and I don't know how many cameras are on me, but that's what we have. So 10-7, they lose to the Giants and Mark. And look, let me do the defense really quick because it's very quick. Okay.
No, go ahead.
So look, defensive line, good. A+. Great. I know they were playing a beat-up offensive line in the Giants. I get that, but they did what they were supposed to do. They got the sacks that they should have gotten, and I think that was 6. So they got 6 sacks in the game, which is what they should do. They should have dominated that offensive line, and they did. Took advantage of a quarterback that really isn't that good. But the defensive backfield wasn't good. J.C. Jackson wasn't good. They just weren't good again. I realized they only give up 10 points, so it's a good effort. It's another week where they only give up 10 and they get screwed by the offense again. The only turnover they got really wasn't their doing. It was a botched handoff or something like that, and then they fell on the ball. But all in all, I thought the defense played okay. I mean, again, given the competition stinks, the New York Giants, they still, I still think they did a pretty good job. The only issue is, again, I was worried about the run game against them against the run. Barkley, they held them under control. 58. He rushed for 46 yards. So again, he only had one catch for 6 yards. That was my concern. They held the edge.
I thought that they would incorporate Barkley more. I was a little surprised that they didn't run the ball more, Barkley. Maybe that's because their offensive line is terrible, Chris, but because teams have been able to run the ball against the defense, especially the edges, because we haven't typically been able to seal, right? The edge. But they didn't try to take advantage of that with Barkley. And like I said, maybe that's because their offensive line is bad, or maybe just the Patriots just did a much better job this week sealing that. I don't know.
Yeah. So
what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think they did. I mean, I think they did the job they were supposed to do. They did set the edge. They confused some things a little bit in the middle of the field. They brought some heat when they had to. They disguised a few of the coverages, and I think there were a couple of coverage sacks. So I said the D-backs played terrible, but not that. But they need to be a lot better. And this week we'll talk about that later. So, Mark, offensively.
So offensive. Oh, Chris, just one little tidbit before I get into the offense. On defense, they did allow a 100-yard receiver, though. I do believe.
I was waiting for that one.
Just
keep in mind that I was high on Jalen Hyatt. Listen, Mark, when we did our pre-draft show,
I'm kidding.
Mark was all over Jalen Hyatt, along with Douglas Boutte.
Yeah,
and said this is the guy they should have drafted instead of Keon White in the second round. I agree 1,000%. You know, if that draft went Gonzalez, then Hyatt, we would have been fine. But yeah, he had 100 yards. I think it was what, 5 or so catches.
109 or something, 108. I just had to bring that up.
Yeah,
okay.
5 catches, 109. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. Offensively, Chris. Okay. So we'll address quarterback at the end. Okay. Running the ball, Chris.
Yeah.
Why didn't they run the ball?
31 times, 147 yards. Just so
I get that. However, I would have ran the ball 45 times, for crying out loud, in that game, because the Giants weren't stopping it. They weren't stopping it. So you ran the ball 31 times, Chris. That was a game you should have ran the ball another 15 times and taken the ball out of the quarterback's hand, because both quarterbacks did nothing, right?
No.
So and we talk. I say this every week, Chris. The whole process of this offense, it's so bad, Chris. The only two guys that ever show anything are typically Elliott and Stevenson. So just keep doing them until somebody proves they can stop it.
Yeah. I mean, Stevenson had 98 yards. Elliott had 9 rushes, 46. Both of them averaged, Elliott's 5 a carry and 4.7 a carry. It makes you wonder on that, towards the end of the game on that third down when they were going to kick the field goal to tie it.
Instead of giving that ball a Thornton, right?
You're averaging 4.5 a carry. You needed 3rd and 4. What?
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely.
I mean, if Douglas is not on the field, why run that play with Thornton? He stinks.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. They keep trying to give Thornton an opportunity. Chris, he stinks. So, Chris, first half, let's address the second interception by Mac Jones. Okay. Yeah. So the second interception.
The first one was bad. The first one, he didn't read that safety coming across.
No, the first one was bad. We acknowledge it was bad. Now, the second one.
Yeah.
You and I discussed this as soon as it happened.
Yeah.
So on the second interception, they've got Demario Douglas lined up in the backfield.
Which we like.
Which we do like. We like. The Giants, Chris, are in almost like a disguised cover one, where instead of having the safety in the middle of the field, it's the linebacker. The safety wasn't in the middle of the field. I think they tried to confuse Jones a little bit. They had an unbalanced line where they had more guys on the left than the right, and they made it seem like the linebacker might blitz up the middle.
Yeah.
So it kind of froze
Simmons
Andrews a little bit.
Edge.
And Simmons ends up coming off the edge, right?
Right.
So now when Simmons comes off the edge, Douglas is looking right at him. So he knows it's a hot read. The guy's coming. Douglas doesn't chip. He doesn't do anything. Okay, fine. He's a rookie. Maybe he doesn't understand his responsibility on that. However, once he comes off the line, Chris, you're going to turn your head quick and do a quick cut and look for the ball, because your quarterback's making a hot read. Either he's going to take a sack, or he's probably going to have to throw the ball somewhere in the area that he threw it, thinking his Douglas is going to step and turn and look for the ball. Douglas keeps running his route, and then he turns around, never looks back at all, and then turns around and says, "Oh, what happened?" Well, that was a rookie mistake, I think, right? You either got to chip, you got to do something there. Read it, know it's a hot read, and turn something. So I'm not, again, but Jones throws off his back foot again, Chris, on that play. Looks like he panics, right? Instead of just taking the sack or doing something, you know what I mean? He panics a little bit and throws the ball right to the linebacker. Or was the linebacker or the safety? I forget who he threw it to.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of them was still remaining there.
I mean, that's what I saw on that. What did you see on that play?
Well, it's interesting you brought that play up, and I want to reserve. I have a feeling that's going to come up in heated hotline.
And we'll wait. We'll wait on that.
I have a feeling that's going to come up in heat. So stick around for that.
We'll stick around for that. So then, Chris, here's the thing, and you tell me you tell me. Then in the second half, they bring in Zappe.
But wait a minute. What I will say though about it is not about the play itself, but about the ineptitude of the rest of the offense. Look, taking out Mac Jones for a second, because as I said, I have a feeling we're going to be discussing this in heated hotline. Everybody's bad. No, I mean, there were guys, there was Stevenson and Hunter, they ran into each other on one play. Guys are running poor routes.
How about Juju? Juju Smith-Schuster just runs horrible routes, Chris.
He does, and he got into it on the sideline with Troy Brown, where they were barking at each other. Look, everybody on this offense, everybody's focusing on the quarterback, but every single guy in this offense almost is playing poorly. I mean, just
then Jones, Chris, got into it. Jones got into it with Gesicki. I don't know what that was about.
Yeah, Gesicki ran the wrong route or something like that, and Jones comes off like, and again, listen to Heated Hotline, because Jones is broken at this point. But
and Chris, how about, so let me ask you this. In the first half, they run almost like a one of those quick wide receiver screens that they used to run with guys like Edelman, right? And so the only guy you got, Chris, that can create separation as any type of speed is Douglas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you got to play
in this game.
So you got a package out there, Chris.
Yeah.
And you throw that pass to Parker.
Right.
So now on that particular play, Chris, Parker goes up the field. There was a seam for Parker to take off. He didn't have the speed to accelerate. Douglas would have took off, Chris, and probably gained 30 yards on that.
There was a play
Parker gained 12, I think, or 13.
There was a play further on, a little while later, where they did throw that ball to Douglas, and he did get more yards. Didn't have the seam, but he still ran for
more yards.
So yeah, and I mean, we talked about this personnel packages. They're playing these guys that they paid. I mean, that's pretty much what's happening, instead of the guys that should be playing.
So now,
it's
Chris,
bad, it's bad.
No, it's bad. But now you get to the second half, Chris. They put training wheels on this kid Zappe. He runs a totally different type of an offense. He's not running the same offense. No. They simplify it. They won't let him throw the ball down the field because he can't read the defense, Chris. He's throwing 5-yard outs. That's all he's throwing.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to get
lateral or screen plays.
That's all. Listen, second half, Chris, Zappe stinks. Zappe's worse than Jones. You miss a field goal. Everybody's complaining. Belichick, he didn't go for the touchdown. Listen, weather's crappy. He's in position to get points. He doesn't trust his quarterback, Chris, at all. That's evident. So why is he going to take a shot and try to win the game so he can throw another interception?
Yeah.
So he figures, get me into overtime, kick the field goal, get me into overtime. I'll play with my defense, and let's try to win this game in overtime with my defense and playing ball control and field position, because he knows Zappe stinks, Chris. Does anybody understand that's why he didn't do anything there? Because he knows his quarterback stinks?
No, they don't. So wait till Heated Hotline. Wait till the next segment. We're going to go through much of this in the next segment. But what I do want to do before we go to break is want to talk a little Bruins and a couple minutes of Celtics. So, Mark, the Bruins, they're on a little skid right now. I mean, it's starting to come back to reality a little bit. I got a theory. You got a theory. What's yours?
Well, Chris, my theory is this. The goaltending put them in a good position early. You and I didn't think they were as good as they were early. We said before the season started, we thought they would struggle a little bit in certain areas, and that's starting to happen. They're struggling in their own end, okay? They're playing soft in their own end. They're not getting the puck out. It's very sloppy, Chris. And the other thing is, that first line that you and I were a little concerned about before the season started, they're not cutting it, Chris. Maybe that line should be shooken up a little bit.
I agree.
Right?
I agree with that 100%. I don't want
Right?
to see Marchand and Pasternak on the same line. I don't. I don't want to see that. I want to see Pastra. I want to see Pastra with Marchand and somebody else, and you get Zaka down there with Pasternak, and so yeah, you got to break that up. And they are sloppy, and their transition defense is sloppy. And that in hockey, transition defense is you're coming down. They get the puck, they're coming down, and you're transitioning back on defense. And it's been really sloppy. And I agree with you 1,000% on this. As the goaltending goes, this team will go. And when you start to see the goaltending kind of waver a little, kind of came back to reality, didn't it?
Yeah, they've lost what, 3 in a row?
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. We're recording on Thursday. They're playing now, so we'll see what happens. But then switching over to the Celtics, Mark, a little bit too. This in-season tournament, at first, you weren't a fan of it. No, I didn't know what to make of it. And I think I was like a lot of people who just didn't know what to make of the friggin' thing and what are we doing this for? This isn't soccer, we have a playoff. But I get why they did it for the fans. The fans, the bottom line is these games are more relevant. The NBA is sick and tired of seeing guys sitting every other night, and resting up. And now they have to play. And they got to play. And you saw this against the Bulls the other night. And now, by the way, the Celtics are going to play Monday against the Pacers in the quarterfinal. You got the Knicks against Milwaukee. And I think on the other side, you got Pelicans, Kings, and Suns and Lakers. And the winner of these games now goes to Vegas and plays in that Final Four, basically.
Yeah. And gee, you don't think the league wants to see Milwaukee and the Celtics go at it in the semifinals? Of course.
I know they do.
And the ratings, they would love to see Lakers Celtics right in the final.
What'd you think of Missoula the other night, getting into it with Billy Donovan over there for Chicago?
But listen, and at first I didn't realize what the heck went on the other night. And then you were saying to me, well, they needed the points. They had to win by so many
point differential.
Points.
You have to win by so many points to advance. It matters.
So Donovan got pissed off, Chris. Why? Because they kept fouling Drummond.
They were Hacker Drummond, like Hacker Shack. So they were fouling him late in the game to get to their point threshold. And so, because they know he's missing free throws, and Donovan get all jerked about it. He goes over to him. It's like, what are you doing? And Missoula, hey, this is one I always get on Missoula, but I'm happy. He came right back to him and said, hey, I got to do this. That's it. We're getting the word. We know we need points. Shut up. Take your guy out of the game then. Shut the hell up. Don't be losing by 30 then, Billy.
The guy's 120 years old. You got him on the court. They're fouling him. What's Drummond even in the game for crying out loud?
So we'll see what happens with that. They play Monday night. Hopefully they get over to Vegas and play. I'm not worried about the injury. They're going to play these games. They count anyway. Make it worth it, right? Make it worth it.
And Porzingis has been out. So who knows if Porzingis will even play next week? We don't know.
Well, that's something we're going to get into as the weeks to come, because we were worried about Porzingis and we were worried about the injury situation. So we'll see what happens. But Weekly Rewind was presented by Corso and Catone, 12 p.m. Eastern every Saturday, 12 to noon. You catch on all outlets. But when we come back, going to hear from one of you in the nation and Heated Hotline coming up.
Mark, I'm seriously. I think I lost my mind.
Certainly, it was an exciting show.
I want Murray.
That's it. What is wrong with
Get him on this damn show.
You lost your mind tonight.
That's all I have to say.
Lost your mind.
What are you writing now?
So I'm working over here. You're talking about nonsense. I'm working.
That's why we are the real deal New England Feel. It's going to be real.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal New England Feel. And make sure you catch it 12 to 1, noon to 1 Eastern every Saturday. And, of course, our 790 The Score listeners, you can catch that on The Score, 790.com. All right, so normally, let me just set this up, okay? Normally, we have no idea what the call is in Heated Hotline. Okay, so Joe will pick one. He'll play it. Mark and I are hearing it for the first time. He likes to play this game with us, So we're hearing it for the first time. We have to comment, so on and so forth. Well, this week, I know what the call is. Mark knows what the call is, because it's just things that needed to be said. We had to
Because you
do it.
lost your mind.
We're just like you, people. We are the real deal New England feel. Joe, let's have it.
Greg, listen, I know what you're saying about Zappe versus Jones, but what's sad about this whole thing is Jones is still actually the better quarterback. You look at these two halves, fine, you want to play Zappe, then you better be prepared to run the ball 40 times if that's what's going to happen. Because if you watch Zappe in the second half, the numbers were flipped. Jones threw the ball 21 times in the first half to 13 running, which, by the way, they should have ran the ball a lot more. They went away from it. But second half, it's flipped. And why is that? All the throws Zappe made were either rub routes, things on the easy throws. They don't let him run the ball down to throw the ball down the field. Every time that guy tries to read something, he fails. He threw a pick. He could have thrown another one. At least Jones, they take the training wheels off a little bit.
Completely disagree with
if you're going to play Jones.
Sorry, and Chris, I don't know what you're watching, but Zappe can make throws to the left side of the field. And listen, neither quarterback is going to help this. But let's be honest. Did the team have a spark today with Zappe or not? Answer that question.
Yeah, listen, the spark means nothing.
They ran the ball and were successful. They were happy. When Zappe came into the game, they were functional.
Yeah, you're going to hang up on me?
No, I'm not letting you. I'm letting you speak. I mean, you're in Phoenix, but don't sit there and say that Jones might be the better quarterback. If he's the better quarterback now, if he's the better quarterback today, because the only thing he's helping is them lose games. That's what he's helping.
So you're telling me you think they can run the ball with Zappe, they can run the ball with Jones too, and they were running it. Hey, look how about in the first half, okay? You look at those picks. One of them was really bad, right? But you look at the Mario Douglas pick. You'll look at that and you'll say he threw it right to the linebacker, right? You won't say, hey, Mario Douglas came out of the backfield and it was a hot read with a blitz and he should have been turning and looking at it. And Greg, when you go look back at that, you'll see the same thing. But as far as the two quarterbacks go talent-wise, you can't let Zappe read. And when you talk about the end of the game, Joe, that they should have gone for it. No, what everybody would be saying right now is that doesn't put the team in the best chance to try to win the game. You're going to let a guy that can't read a defense
and they lost.
And go from.
And they lost. They never even tried.
So that was that was yours truly right after the game.
That was the real deal, New England field.
That was the real deal, yeah.
New England.
Let me tell you.
And
That was me talking to the post game on the flagship. And I don't look. We told you from moment one. We are you. We are you. We're fans first. We just happen to know a little bit about what we're talking about, and they don't. So, Mark, what do you make of that? I talked enough. So, go ahead.
Well, Chris, couple of things with what they said. Okay, so I am
Listen, I'm not always right. It's not like I know everything, but I wasn't wrong there.
No, listen. I never agree with you. You know that. If anybody goes back and watches any of these shows, I never agree with Chris ever. But I am going to agree with you this time. So, first of all, what is he talking? I'm so sick of these people, Chris, saying, "Oh, he provides a spot." What spot? They're 2-9.
Did they win with that spot?
They lost with the spot. Listen, he comes out. He gives them a spot. They're running the ball. He's throwing passes that I could make. I'm a broken down old man on 11 pills a day, and I could have made some of the throws that Zappe made on Sunday. I'm sorry, Murray. Yes, I could have made those throws. That's how simple those throws were. So I don't know what spot he gave them. They ran the ball. They were running the ball. As you said, Chris, they should have been doing that in the first half anyways.
The numbers were 21-13, and in the second half, Mark, it flipped. Zappe threw the ball 10 times, and they ran the ball 18 and 19 times.
He says he can throw the ball. He can throw it to the left.
He can throw it to the left.
He can throw it to the left. He threw 5-yard passes to the left. His longest throw to the left, Chris, I think was 7 yards to Schmidt-Schuster.
Yeah.
Ooh, he threw a 7-yard out pass to the sideline. 7 yards, Chris. So
and that was when they rubbed for him. And that's when the two other receivers ran a rub route, and he was standing. He was hitting that out wide open. By the way, the pick he threw was to the left.
Yeah. Listen,
was people
Zappe,
laughing.
Chris. Listen, Chris. If Zappe was any kind of a quarterback, he would have been starting 3 weeks ago
Long
when Jones
time
fell
ago.
apart. Listen, O'Brien knows Zappe stinks. Belichick knows Zappe stinks. But what the hell? You got nothing else in the room. Now they have to use him. You can't put Jones back on the field, Chris.
Yeah.
You know,
My whole point was look, are either one of these guys going to win the game? No, because neither one of them won the game. I mean, that's
No.
it. You know, it's
No,
not,
no.
the Spock. So what's Spock? Look, he came out in the
That's a
second
bunch of
half.
crap.
He came out in the second half, Mark. And I mean, what did you see in the second half from him?
Chris, all he did was he ran the play. The only thing he does, Chris, is it seems like
That one
he's
play
on-
he had where he flipped it, we kind of improvised and he
Yeah, but
flipped it
Jones
forward.
did that in the first. Jones did the same thing in the first half, Chris. He flipped the ball, right? The only thing that Zappe does do, Chris, I'll give him credit for one thing. He does seem a little bit more decisive in regards to he knows. I mean, if I'm not running the ball, it's going here. But if it's not good, if the guy's not there, he runs out of the pocket.
Yeah.
Like he almost panics, but he is decisive, Chris. He looks up quick and he throws the ball where he thinks it has to go. Because to your point, Chris, he can't read the defense anyway.
That's just the only reason why he's so decisive. It's because he's got one read. It's predetermined. I mean, the freaking Giants were laughing on that sideline. I mean, the Giants secondary and the linebackers. Oh my God, Bailey Zappe's a dream for them because he drops, he hits a step, he's staring down every single receiver he's going to throw to, and if the ball's going to go past 8 yards, the reason why they can jump it is because they got time to do it now. They're watching him read. He could have thrown 3 interceptions. He threw one that was so bad. Look, all I'm saying is if your argument out there, flagship, is Bailey Zappe needs to play instead of Mac Jones, then it can only be because Mac Jones is so mentally broken that he's got to sit for his own good. Just for his own good. Because
Chris,
he's frustrated, but the rest of the team stinks too. Mark, the rest of the offense, everybody lays it on Jones and says, "Oh, he's just mentally broken." He's frustrated just like the rest of them, but they're all doing it. They're all playing bad.
Yeah, so Chris, listen. To your point, he's mentally broken. Chris, did you see Jones on the sidelines after the pick? I think he was doing he was doing like breathing exercises.
Yeah,
like almost like keep the poor kid from hyperventilating, right? He's doing breathing exercises. So if that's not telling you that this kid is broken,
he's busted up.
Then I don't know what else is going to tell you that. I mean, it was quite obvious that this kid's broken. You ruined this kid. You can't put him back behind center. I mean, unfortunately, I thought the kid had some potential, but that's gone. He's never going to do that here. And I'm going to say something else, Chris. You said the whole offense stinks, and they do stink. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm sick of watching week after week personnel packages. Who's on the field in certain situations? Who's making that decision? Is that O'Brien or is that Belichick?
Billy O.
It's Billy O. So
I'm sure he's being told you got to play Parker. I mean, Parker's the guy. He's going to be your X. That's Parker.
I'm sure. But I'm sick of these people. You know how many people I've heard this week say, "Oh, I think Billy O'Brien's a good coach. He's a solid coach." What? What has he done? They got no talent. I realize they have no talent whatsoever. But I'm just looking at what he puts on the field, Chris, the personnel groupings, and who's out there in certain situations. Why is Mike Gesicki out there on a third down with 2 wide receivers? Ramondre Stevens is lined up as a wideout, and Butte's sitting there from the sidelines watching while Gesicki's on the field. Gesicki stinks. He stinks. Right. He was another bad free agent signing. You said it when they signed him. Why are you signing him? He's not that. He's a fraud. And you know what? Mike Gesicki is a fraud. He's a fraud. But they keep putting him on the field.
I mean, I think he may be handcuffed too, Mark. I think he may be getting that directive of this is who you're going to play.
You mean O'Brien?
Yeah. I mean,
you think Belichick's determining that Gesicki's going to be on the field?
I do. I think they're determining the people they paid need to be playing because, or else now what? Now these guys that you paid are on the sidelines and you're catching all that kind of grief too. You know what I mean? But look, like I said, if it's just straight Zappe versus Jones, get the hell out of here. That's not even an argument. At least Mac Jones can actually read a defense. He's broken, but he can still read a defense. Bailey Zappe stinks, and he's probably going to play. He's going to be the guy that plays tomorrow against.
He's going to play the rest. He's going to play the rest of the season unless they pick up another quarterback.
And you're going to see. And the excuse will be, well, the competition's better, so you can't go by that. But we'll see. We'll see how he is. The biggest person that's responsible, though. Okay, this is about. And by the way, that end of the game stuff, I agree with you, Mark. In the last segment, you talked about kicking the field goal. You can't. Look, people don't understand. When you're coaching a game, people just don't get this. Every game is its own season, so to speak. So when you're involved in a game as a coach, the last thing you're thinking about is, we're 2-8. We should just throw the ball into the end zone 3 times. What the hell's the difference? That doesn't. Look, if any coach is being honest with you, there's no chance that's what's going through their mind. They're in the moment. They're trying to win the game in the moment. That's what they're trying to do. And in that moment, in that situation, you're going to let Bailey Zappe take a shot into the end zone. That way what? That way when the flagship at the end of the game, after the game, so then you'll hear this. What business does Bill O'Brien have in letting Bailey Zappe throw the ball into the end zone when they could kick a 35-yard field goal that a high school kid could make, okay, and go to overtime and play your dink and dunk offense when you get the ball? That's what they would have been saying, Mark. Yeah. I mean, give me that crap. But talk about Belichick's responsibility in all this. Why didn't he just put his arm around? Why couldn't he put his arm around Mac Jones and fix the mental problem?
He didn't, and that ship has sailed. He didn't, and that ship has sailed. It's over. It's done. Listen, Mac Jones will never be able to. Mac Jones will, as long as Belichick's the coach, Chris. Mac Jones is never going to play another snap as quarterback on this team. He can't.
You bench a guy 4 times in a season, and then keep running him back out as a starter.
Keep running him back out. Yeah.
I mean, that's the part that And then this whole, look. The only way Mac Jones can be rehabilitated here is if the entire coaching staff is wiped. It's completely wiped clean. And you'll see a guy come back with invigorated, a whole new, it's like going to a different team at that point.
Sure.
Otherwise, he's going to have to go to a different team.
Yep.
And
I agree. I totally agree with that.
And then where are we? So last thing, Mark, talk about a lot was made about, and this is all part of it, about Belichick's communication with the players during the week, naming the quarterback. Who's going to lead the quarterback this week? When did you find out? When did you find out?
No, but Chris, that's all part of his game with the media. Those guys knew who was starting the game. They knew.
When they're asked, though, at the end of the game, some of the guys were like, well, I didn't know. I didn't know.
Well, I think that's just part of the game that they play over there, Chris, that Belichick has them. I think it's answers they have to give. But they knew. Jones knew he was starting that game. Listen, I told you, Chris, in the first half, I said, Chris, he's going to get pulled in the second half unless something changes. And you're like, really? I'm telling you. He gets the first half. Zappe gets the second half. Unless Jones is hot and they're going up and down the field, he's going to get pulled, and you're going to see what Zappe does. And that's exactly what they did. So that was already predetermined, Chris. So those quarterbacks knew what was going on. By Thursday, they knew who was starting that game. So whatever they were saying to the media was a bunch of BS. Yeah, and that comes from Bill.
Yeah, it's ugly. Everybody wants to know, but let me tell you to me, it's a little overrated. Everyone out there, from a player standpoint, it's a little bit overrated as to who the hell's playing quarterback. They're splitting reps in practice and all that. Look, by now, they all know how the ball comes out of their hands. These are 2 quarterbacks that are not all that different. It's not like Malik Cunningham versus Jones. Now that's a whole different animal altogether. Of how he plays. That you need to know. But these players, look. Andrew's center snap exchange is fine with both guys. These guys are executing the plays regardless of who's behind center. So this big deal that we make about needing to know who the quarterback is, and the players need to know, how dysfunctional can you be that you don't know who it's going to be? Look, these guys get out there, they line up, They're getting a ball from who they're getting a ball from. That's it. They're professionals. They understand the cadence for each guy. So I think it's a little overblown, Mark. It's a little overblown.
I agree.
I mean, so we thank the caller. We thank the caller. Joe. Joe, we thank the caller this week for our heated.
For being irate. We are Thanksgiving thankful for irate New England fans.
Well, it can accomplish two things. It gets our point across, and it lets you people out there know that we are the real deal New England field. We're like you. We're like you. We're fans, and we don't think anybody knows what the hell we're talking about. So they're talking about. So Heated Hotline was presented by CORSO Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. CORSOLawGroup.com. Allow us to be your voice. Hey, stick around. Buckle up. Catone's Comments is next.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. CORSO Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Call or go online to CORSOLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help.
Time for Catone's Comments!
So, listen, this week we've been talking a lot about the Patriots, and we've been talking about, what they look like, what they don't look like. We've been talking about quarterbacks. We've been talking about everything Patriots except one thing. Bill Belichick. Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit about Belichick. I'm so sick of people saying, this was reported this week by national media. There's at least 10 teams ready to go after Belichick if he's not the coach of the Patriots. And, this team's going to trade for Belichick. They'll give up whatever for listen to me, please. Please listen to me. What if you're a billionaire owner, and most of these owners are billionaires? That's why they own an NFL franchise, because these NFL franchises are worth more than any others other than the Yankees. Their worth is more than any of these other sports teams, right? So what owner is actually watching this season and has watched the last 3 seasons and says to themselves, I'm going to trade for Bill Belichick, or I want Bill Belichick? Are you kidding me? Listen, one of the things the Patriots always did better than everybody else was situational football. If you think that 4th down punt where they went to the line of scrimmage and had guys moving all around, and then you waste a timeout that you could have used at the end of the game, if you think that was good situational football, instead of just taking the delay of game and moving the ball back 5 yards because you were going to punt anyways, if you think that was good situational football and that Belichick's at the top of his game, I don't know what you're watching. I really don't. Players fighting and yelling at each other and with coaches on the sidelines, that's a guy that's in control. That's good. That's a good football team. That's a good coach. Really? That's a good coach. That's a losing team that's acting like every losing team has acted for the last 20 years. Okay? He's 72 years old. Let me repeat. He is 72 years old. And I'm not discriminating against age at all. I'm not. But what that does tell me is most of what he learned in football is in the past. This is a new generation. It's a new generation of how the game is played. It's a new generation of player. When he came here 20-something years ago, players bought into the so-called Patriot way because you had guys like Vrabel and Bruschi and McGinnis and Harrison. And that's who Brady learned from. Those guys bought into what Belichick did, and everybody followed suit, and they did it, and they won. And then when those guys left, the second half of this dynasty was about Tom Brady because he bought in. He was the leader, and everybody followed suit because Brady did. Not because of Belichick, because Brady did. Just like they did in the first half because those other players did. You lost Brady, and you lost that because Bill isn't connecting to this new era of player. The mumbling and the I'm going to be benched for 5 games because you didn't toe tap in the Eagles game. Boutte don't toe tap, and he doesn't see the field again. Are you kidding? Everyone says, "Oh, he's going to go to the Dallas Cowboys." CD Lamb will last 10 minutes with him and walk out the locker room and tell Jerry Jones, "Who the hell is this guy you brought in here?" You think CD Lamb's going to listen to him? Are you kidding me? Really? Come on. So listen, I don't get this whole people are going to be lined up to get Bill Belichick. Guess what? They weren't lined up to get Tom Brady like everybody thought they were going to be. And Brady was still, I believe, at the top of his game, and he proved it. But Belichick has been declining now for a couple of years. I just don't understand why everyone who's the last piece of this is who's going to give him total control? Because that's the only way he's going to. You're going to have to give him total control of your organization. He can't draft anybody. The Patriot roster is devoid of talent from top to bottom because he's organized and run who gets drafted. You want him to come take control of your franchise and coach the franchise? Good luck to you. Good luck to you. It's time to say goodbye. He was the greatest coach there ever was. But listen, it happened to Shula. It happened to Landry. It happened to Chuck Noll. It happens. It happens. Unfortunately, it shouldn't have ended this way. It should have ended with him and Brady leaving here together. Bob Kraft messed that up. Yes, you, Bob, you did mess this up because that's how this should have ended. Instead, it's going to end this way, but it has to end. And whoever's going to go out and hire him, I just don't get it. I don't get it, Chris. I don't understand. And I know you're a Belichick guy. You love him. And I know you're going to come on and disagree with me. But I just don't understand why teams are lined up for a name, but the substance of that name is greatly diminished.
I agree with you. I agree with you on every your analysis of Belichick, and because it's deeper than just he's lost his fastball. No, I mean Mark's giving you the breakdown from when he first got here. I mean that's the reality of what it is. Exactly what you said about his way and the guys that bought to that way because that way won back then. You know, you just happened to have a guy in Brady that was an older school guy too. And that helped and that worked because he's still the best that ever did it. If Brady wasn't that as good, you would have seen this decline from 07 on. You would have seen this happen in 08. So I listen, Mark, I agree with you, you know, that who wants him though? This is the thing. You know, I've heard things this week, you know, you hear about, okay, the teams that are in play are Tampa. Now we're going to follow Brady. Now you're going to go to Tampa. Okay.
You're going to go from the cartoon character, Bruce Arians. Right. Now you're going to go to Belichick.
But wouldn't that be fun, Mark, huh? Wouldn't that be fun to have Belichick go down to Tampa, win a Super Bowl, and now oh my God. Can you, but Carolina, Washington, but the LA Chargers, Mark. Okay. Here's my thing. Tomorrow in this game, watch closely, everybody. If the operation for the Patriots is sound, solid, situational football, everything's on point, guess what's going on? Bill Belichick is auditioning for the Chargers. He's looking to show them, I still got it. Bring me in. The reason why I agree, here's how I agree. I agree with you that the suitors out there won't be lined up like people think they will because of the money. I think some of these owners will be fine having him in because he's still a name. The way he's seen around the league isn't the way he's seen here in New England. He's still holding on, unless you listen to the Rex Ryan. So, you know, some stupid owner will want him to take over. But by the way, the LA Chargers, they've paid their last several coaches a combined like $11 million. Nobody's going to fork out $25 million. The only way this can happen is if Kraft eats it. If he eats the money, somebody will bring him in.
And Chris, he might have to eat the money depending on how this turns out. He might have to. If he wants to get rid of him, he might have to.
Well, if he tries to do that, because I don't see Kraft eating the money. I don't see it. So this may end up like a real soap opera, even more so, because if he starts firing guys like his son and really doing things to push him out, Joe, we're going to have a lot of fun shows. That's happening. A lot. But Mark, I listen, he definitely, and when I see him talking, he's a guy, he doesn't sound like the same grunting, I just want to stick it up your, media. He sounds like a guy who's like, yeah, I thought they both deserve to play. Like he's checked out. Like it's been decided he's gone, and he's just kind of, and if he's checked out, now forget it. The place is a mess. I still think he's going to be back, though.
You're the only one, Chris, who thinks he'll be back.
What's the money?
We'll see. Yeah.
I don't think Kraft's going to eat that money. I just don't. I think he's going to be back for another year, and then we'll see what happens, Mark.
And God forbid we get the number 1 pick in the draft, and he's drafting.
Are you kidding me? Bailey Zappe's going to play. We're going to win 5 or 6 games now.
Yeah, right.
We're gonna.
Just real quickly, the only game you got a shot of winning, and only because, as you said, maybe he's auditioning for the Chargers, and the Charger coach is a disaster, and maybe you can win this weekend, maybe. But if you can't find a way to win this weekend, Chris, you look at their schedule. They ain't winning 5-6 games with Bailey Zappe. They ain't winning another game until they get to the Jets, and your buddy Aaron Rodgers is practicing.
There you go.
So, and one last thing. We got flexed off on Monday night, Chris.
For the first time, first team ever to get flexed
history
off is the New England Patriots. Well, that must have either they're doing the Patriots a favor by doing it,
that really irked Kraft,
because you're going to get exposed again on national TV, or that went up Kraft's what. But we're going to get to that Chargers game. We got to talk a little bit about that Chargers game and some of that Pittsburgh game. We're going to welcome in the nation coming up. Joe?
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. CORSO Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. Whether it's a traffic ticket or more serious issue, talk with these expert attorneys. CORSOLawGroup.com.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. All right, got games coming. We got another game coming up tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern. Joe, Pats Nation. So we've brought it up a little bit. The 1 p.m. Eastern, the Chargers come into town, kickoff, like I said, 1 p.m. Eastern. And so for this game, Mark, we already talked about the Belichick factor. I think he's auditioning. I think, you're going to see a more clean operation this particular week. Everybody will attribute that to Bailey Zappe. But let's play the game here, okay?
Yep.
What do they got to do? Can they win this game? What do they need to do on offense?
They need to run the football. Obviously. And Chris, they're going to have to run. I honestly think this week they'll run the ball combination between Elliott and Stevenson. You will see at the end of this game that they've run the ball over 40 times. You watch. They're going to run the ball over 40 times.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to simplify things for Zappe. You brought it up earlier in the show. I think you're going to see a lot of 5, 7, 8-yard passes, ball control, possession control passes. I think the defensive line's been playing well, Chris, so I think they're going to try to play that type of a game on offense, a little bit of maybe play action. I don't think you're going to see them as Zappe to do much in the middle of the field or down the field, Chris, because I just don't know I don't think he can.
Yeah. Well, Baltimore rushed for 197, almost 200 yards, Mark. That's Baltimore. I get it, but
I get it. So, but I think that's going to be the formula, Chris. And listen, but that Baltimore game, Chris, even though they rushed for almost 200 yards, was a field goal game until late in the fourth quarter, and then they hit the kid to make it 20-10. So even at that, that's the only shot the Patriots have, Chris. Zappe's not coming out and as the guy said in the post game, give him a spark. He ain't coming out, Chris, and throwing 3 touchdowns. And
I love that.
Yards.
Gave him a spark, but they still lost.
They lost. Listen. They're going to have to run the ball over 40 times. And if they win this game, it's because they ran the ball over 40 times. It's the only shot they have on offense, Chris. Only shot they have. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, you got to, hey, look, Baltimore. Well, that's Baltimore's game. They they ran the ball 30, I think it was like 36, 37 times.
But one quick thing. Speaking of Baltimore, I know we're running against the clock here. I would have activated Malik Cunningham and I'd run I'd run a lot of the stuff that Baltimore used to run when they first drafted Malik. They first drafted Jackson. I don't understand why you can't do a lot of the things that they did with Lamar Jackson when they first drafted him. He couldn't throw the ball to save his life. So there is a way you could incorporate Cunningham as the quarterback of this team. If you think Zappe stinks, then do something different.
Like I said, I mean, this team can be had running the ball. You said it. It's the only way to do it. You can't let Zappe read. You can't if they allow Zappe to try to throw the ball down the field, and this is going to be contingent upon what the defense does too. Yeah. Okay, because if you allow this team to get up a couple of scores on you, okay, meaning the Chargers, you're in trouble. You're in a lot of trouble because now you can't run the ball.
The Chargers can score. I know they didn't score against Baltimore, but they can score.
You got to deal with the passing game with Allen, Johnson, even Eckler catching the ball in the back. You got to deal with their running game. They ran for 150 yards versus Green Bay.
Yeah.
You know, our defensive backs are going to be the huge problem in this game because they're going to throw the ball over the damn field. And so the Miles Bryants and the J.C. Jackson and even Jonathan Jones look lousy. You know,
Chris, the key to this game on defense, I think, is going to be what you've been saying every week, that the defensive line has played good every week, the last 5-6 weeks. They're going to have to really create havoc.
Oh, yeah. Their pressure package is going to have to be really solid, really sound. I'm not so worried about Herbert getting out of the backfield, you know, moving around. He'll move around and get himself time. But I think you could be able to contain him. You're not going to get coverage sacks. You got a few last week against the Giants, but you're not going to get them against this team. You know, because you're going to have to get actual legitimate pressure and you're going to have to mix it up and disguise it. And you're going to have to win on first down. But if you're playing from behind, Mark, that run the ball 40 times, that goes right out the window. Yeah. So, you know, to me, it's a game.
Don't even say it.
They're not going to.
It's a game they can win. It's a game they can win.
So, Joe, let's get to the picks, Joe. Let's skip the break. Let's go right into Sunday spread, Mark, and talk about our locks. But let's pick this game. It's a 5.5. It was at 6. It's now at 5. It's at 5.5. It may drop again.
I'm gonna go against the grain here because I know we've been talking about it. It's possibly a winnable game, and I've heard other people say that this week. 31-13. Chargers.
Yeah, listen, the defense, everybody's been 10 points. Now you're going to start to see a series of offenses that are legitimate. And they're going to put up, I say it's going to be 35-17.
Oh, wow. Okay. 35.
35-17 Chargers will be the final in an empty Gillette Stadium.
I'm interested, Chris, to see if people start to file out of there if they're losing early or they get behind by a couple of scores. Will people just file out of there? Because Kraft then will start to take notice, Chris.
I told you what's going to happen. Kraft's going to start feeling it when he's got C celebrities up in that booth. You can talk about Taylor Swift in the booth for over there for the Kansas City, which maybe we're upset now because of Monday Night Football. Taylor Swift would have been there, right? When
she probably would have. I don't know if she'll be at 1 o'clock on a Sunday.
You're going to be at that game.
I'll be there.
You're going to be at that game. Now it's on Sunday. Well, at least you can go to bed at a reasonable hour now.
I'm glad it's a 1 o'clock Sunday game. Yeah.
I told you once the Bon Jovi and what's the kid's name, Wahlberg or whatever his name is, the Backstreet Boys, when or whatever group he's in.
Backstreet Boys. What, Joe? Would you put T-Rex straighten him out over here?
Whatever music group he's involved in. Those are B celebrities, right?
It was New Kids on the Block.
Right. So you had the posters. Mark had the posters.
Get out of here. I used to have a poster of Farrah Fawcett.
Farrah Fawcett? Okay.
Yeah.
You skipped over the 80s. You're going right back to the 70s now, you know? But listen, when the C celebrities come in, like you and me sitting in the booth, that's when Kraft's going to hit rock bottom at that point. So Let's talk about some other locks, Mark. Let's make some people some money. I know you had a tough week last week. I know. I mean, I had one. I wasn't so hot either.
I liked Philadelphia. They pushed. They were given 3. They won by 3. And
I liked Arizona.
I really liked the Raiders. They played horrible. Got their butts kicked. You know.
Yeah. So what do you have this week?
Okay, so this week I'm going to tell everybody start winning on Saturday. 3:30 game.
You've been money on the college game.
On college, I've been money, and I'm money again this week. Take this one to the bank. -5.5. You'll never get a line this low on this team the rest of the season. You won't get a line this low on this team probably for another year. Georgia, -5.5 against Alabama. They're going to wipe the floor with Alabama. Alabama is the most overrated team in college football. They should have lost last week. Listen. Alabama's just not good this year. They're lacking some talent at wide receiver, quarterback. Georgia is going to roll over. They say roll tide. They're going to get rolled by Georgia this week. That's my prediction. College football. Take it to the bank. Now, the NFL, Chris, I like on Sunday. I do like.
Don't take my picks now this week. You know.
Well, there's like 3 games I like. So I like, and I know it's a crap game. I like Tennessee at home getting a point from Indy because I think Indy, I don't know how Indy's favored over anybody. Tennessee at home, I like.
Because he'll do just enough to save his job. This is
Vrabel's
going to do enough just to stay there.
Yep. Vrabel's going to end up winning like 7-8 games by the end, 7 games, just enough to save his job. I like Kansas City -5.5. Green Bay, I don't know why people think Green Bay's still good. -5.5.
Where are you getting 5.5 from? I'm seeing 6.
Okay, I saw 5.5. I'll give 6. I don't care. I'll give the 6.
It was 6.5. Now it's 5. Now it's 6.
Give Kansas City -6.
Yeah, I like them too.
And Tennessee getting 1 at home. And if you want to do a teaser and get points.
Joe, he gave me so much crap for talking about teasers and stuff.
Well, I'm doing this for you. Take San Francisco. But they're going to pay Philadelphia back.
You know, not to insult anyone's intelligence, but with a 3-team tease, you get 6 points that you can play with one way or another. So you can bring these lines the way you need them. And the payout isn't as much, but it's worth it.
But anyways, but if you want to do a parlay, Chris, Tennessee and Kansas City.
For me, I think Detroit bounces back. That was heartbreaking. It just, it used to be when we were younger. The phrase out there was always never bet against who? Never bet on Thanksgiving.
Detroit and Dallas.
Never bet against Detroit and Dallas on Thanksgiving, right? You know, I called Kyle Vanderbosch, who played for Detroit. I was texting with him during the game, and I said, geez, I mean, what's the situation? Why can't this team win on Thanksgiving anymore? What about you? I said, you win on Thanksgiving when you're playing over there, you know? But I think they're going to bounce back against New Orleans. The 4-point spread, they're giving up. They're going to New Orleans, but I think New Orleans is one of those teams too. They're kind of a fraud. They're fraudulent. So I like Detroit. I like Kansas City, like you say. I think from here forward, Kansas City's going to put the gas on, and they're not going to let up. You know, they're going to wipe Oz for us. And then I like Cleveland. Cleveland's getting 3.5 points at the Rams. Okay, that's a little bit of a crapshoot, but they're getting 3.5 at the Rams. I know Watson's out, but I liked how they looked last week without Watson. And so I think that the defense is legit. I don't know about Garrett. I don't know about the injuries over there. So pay attention to the injury report with this game. But I think the Rams are a complete fraud. A complete fraud, Mark. So those are the teams I like this week.
I thought the Rams were a fraud last week, but they beat Arizona. I was a little surprised by that. But
well, Arizona, I think, is in the situation of we're trying to lose. So that's it. Pay attention and listen. Remember, I always tell you, bet because you want to, not because you need to. Corso and Catone was presented by Corso Law Group. Hey, get on, watch, listen to all our shows. They're up for you on YouTube. Subscribe, give us that thumbs up. And, hey, listen, your business out there, you want to advertise, you got a lot of spots. Joe, come on board. Let us know. Mark will do a nice read for your business, right?
Yeah, right.
He'll make you a lot of money. So we got all kinds of sponsorship things. Come on board with that and come back next week, noon. We will talk the Chargers, Pittsburgh recap, Celtics, Bruins, Catone's comments, Sunday spread, anything you bring to the table. We will be ready. We are Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. See you next Saturday.
Now find Corso and Catone on AM 790, The Score, iHeartRadio, iTunes, wherever you podcast. Or subscribe to the YouTube channel and catch the chaos every Saturday at noon.